I'm the bread advocate, and today I'm making scones. So I'm going to make two different types of scones today. This will be an eggnog scone, and this will be a dried cherry scone. So first, for both of the scones, you'll add the sugar, baking powder, and salt to the flour. And I'll do that with both of these. This bowl here has 100% freshly ground flour. I recently obtained a flour mill, so I'm having fun experimenting with that. And this one has half all-purpose and half freshly ground flour from hard red wheat berries. So I'll just add all my dry ingredients together for both batches. And then I will cut the butter into the dry mixture. So this is 6 tablespoons of butter, and I've cut it into smaller pieces so that it will incorporate quicker and more evenly. And I'm using a pastry cutter. You can also use a fork, but this is a little bit easier. And just cut this in to the flour until it comes out nice and crumbly. It will be a little bit hard at first because you need to have your butter nicely chilled. Now that the dry ingredients and butter are well combined, I'll add in my egg and half, or with this one, the eggnog. So the egg has been beaten, and then I added the half to it. So I'll combine this just until wet, just until it's well incorporated. Now I will add in my dried cherries. And I have soaked my dried cherries. This is half a cup of dried cherries, and I have soaked them in 2 tablespoons of cherry brandy. The eggnog, I've tried making my own homemade eggnog. So it has both the yolks and the whites have been whisked into peaks. So this may create a different texture than the other scones. To be quite honest, this is actually a first-time experiment with this. So we will discover how they come out together. Here's my work surface, and I'm going to knead these for 12 to 15 strokes is what the recipe calls for. This recipe is out of Better Homes and Gardens cookbook, and it has been a cookbook that I reference quite often. They are not a sponsor, but it is a cookbook I was told when I first started baking that I should have on hand at all times. The dough may be a bit crumbly at first, so you'll just have to kind of bring it together. I lost track of exactly how many strokes I did, but when it comes out to a nice formable ball of dough, then you can just form it into as close to a circle as you can get it, and either press down with your hands or use a rolling pin to push it down to about a 1/2 inch thickness. So once it's in a nice round shape, you can take a cutter or any straight edge that you have around. I don't recommend something too sharp because you don't want to cut into your table. So you'll just cut this, you'll cut your dough into 8 pieces, as equal as you can get them. So pretty much you can just look at it like you're cutting 8 slices of pizza. So in half again, and in subsequent halves until you have 8. Nice thing about this is that I can also use it as a scoop, since my scones are a bit sticky. I think with the next batch I'll put a little flour down. So it works well if you alternate your triangles of scone in opposite directions so that you can fit more on your pan. I'm using a cookie sheet that's lined with a Silpat just to make it a little bit easier to get them off once they're baked. Once you have them on your baking sheet, you can brush them with some half and half or eggnog if that's what you're using, and then you can sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top before they go into the oven. The scones baked for 13 minutes and have completely cooled on a wire rack. These are the eggnog scones, and they didn't rise a lot, but they actually have a deceivingly light texture. I did have to sneak a little taste of them before I showed you. These are the dried cherry scones. These had the half all-purpose, half hard red wheat berry flour. What I've found out with today's scone experiment is that flour made from hard wheat will cause the scones to rise just a little bit less than normal. If you're using a hard wheat flour, you may want to mix it with a softer wheat or even an all-purpose flour to get the scones to rise just a little bit more. If you have any questions or even suggestions of some flavors that you'd like to see tried, please contact me at thebreadadvocate.com. And if you like this video, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.